and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. Here to talk the Week 5 NFL lines, give you some player props, give you our best bet, recap the week that was, as Brian got slaughtered and I was awesome, so obviously I got to keep bringing that up as often as possible. Before we do any of that, how's it going, Brian?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. We're recording this prior to the Thursday night games kickoff. We just recently got the news of Chris Carson getting knocked out. So there's some fantasy decisions that have to be made, some player props that may or may not be being added to our cards.
Over 50
as we
and a half
speak.
is on both as we speak.
So
we're on Team Alex Collins over here.
Yes. I'm excited to get into this weekend slate because there's a lot of interesting games, and it was really difficult to go through and find some good picks.
So I hate this week's slate. I think it's the most uncomfortable I've been going through picks.
Definitely.
Since the season started, I felt really good about the first month. This week is rough, but I think we can kind of sift through it and try and find some value. See what we can find. I'm up to 18-11 on the season. Only missed on Detroit and a handful of three. I went 3 for 3 on player prop, 3 of 6, I guess, of player props, and 4-1 against on game picks. So that's pretty good. Felt pretty solid about that. Brian went all in on Tom Brady and the Bucs, and that didn't
Not
go
good.
very well. My Titans cost his parlay or his tease, but you know what? Onward and upward, Brian. We all got some picks for the week. I guess let's just kind of look at the board in general, because like I said, I hate this board. There's nothing that
it was rough looking at this week. You can tell that the books definitely adjusted to this season, and they're no longer factoring in previous.
Yeah, I think they're getting enough money. They're getting enough. Let's just run through some of our favorite bets, and then we'll try and find some other options as we kind of roll along. So let's talk about the total in the Atlanta Falcons versus New York Jets, because Brian, we're going head to head this week, buddy.
Woo!
You like the over?
Well, let's just throw this little caveat out there. I picked the over, and I liked the over prior to the fact that Calvin Ridley is no longer traveling with the team. And that does make a huge difference in Atlanta's offense. But with that said, I'm going to ride with my original pick. I'm not one to back out of these things. So I'm going to dig my heels in and go deeper.
And you want to adjust accordingly, I think it makes sense. But
no, I still think this is a spot there where you'll see Atlanta be able to utilize Kyle Pitts a little bit more, because the Jets on the outside have been decent against wide receivers. So I think this is a Pitts matchup regardless. And then the re-arrival of Cordero Patterson. And then on the other side of the ball, the Jets are getting healthy on the outside with all their receivers. And Atlanta is now down 2 or 3 starting corners. So I think this is another good spot for the Jets to be able to throw it here too.
So this total really is about what you expect from the Jets. I just think with going over to London, with the lack of players traveling, obviously Zach Wilson looked much better last week against Tennessee, and Corey Davis and some of their offensive pieces. Mm-hmm. I just, the Falcons have so much issues on offense already. Being down Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage is not what you're looking for. It's gonna be a lot of Mike Davis and Wayne Gallman, and the best thing the Jets do defensively is stop the run. Even despite what Derrick Henry did to them last week, that was more of a Derrick Henry's.
That's just Derrick Henry's a freaking monster.
Mollywopped them. So I'm going with the under. I think this game is going to be ugly and gross and like a 13-9 kind of game. I don't really want to back either side, but I love the under here. And like I said, don't love too much this week, but one of my strongest plays is the under, which is currently 55% of the bets and 61% of the money. So I saw that. I saw the injury news. I saw that information and the morning game in London. It all points to an under for me, so I will take that. speaking of totals, I will go with the over in Pittsburgh versus Denver. I know Big Ben has looked like garbage. I know Drew Lock is probably starting.
On that, Teddy Bridgewater returned to practice on a limited
Okay.
basis today. He has not yet cleared the concussion protocol, but
Okay.
all he needs to do is clear all the neurological tests, and he's ready to go.
So it seems like they might be marching a little bit more towards Bridgewater starting. Either way,
Yes.
I think this total is too low. I think both defenses are pretty solid, but can give up points. And I think both offenses, while have looked ugly at times, I think can produce enough points to clear a 40-point total. So, or 39.5. So I typically when it's a numbers really low or numbers really high, I like to go with it, not against it. But in this scenario, I think there's too many good offensive pieces, and as good as I think both defenses can be, I still think they can do enough to score 40 or more points.
Yeah, this was one of the games that I was having a really difficult time because I was also leaning on going the over here. I would be much more comfortable teasing this down to 33.5 and then adding in another like one or two more, favorites that should cover. But, that being said, Pittsburgh's defense funnels opposing offenses to the pass as they're like, bottom third in the league at defending the pass. And I think that Denver, even with their injuries on the outside, they have the pieces that can take advantage of that. And, I think if Drew Lock does start, I think you see Denver go down the field a little bit more. There's potential of that.
Yeah.
There's potential turnovers. Like
I think Drew Lock opens up things. I think it opens up more deep shots, but also, like you mentioned, turnovers. So Big Ben could fumble, but Denver could be dancing in the end zone.
Exactly.
Drew Lock could pick six. I also like the Steelers here, and it's really
that's
gross.
funny. I'm leaning Pittsburgh as well at home.
I think Pittsburgh in the over is how I would play this game. Pittsburgh didn't officially make the card, but I do like the over. Let's shift to a game where I can actually join you. The Houston Texans. This supposed to be +9, not -9. We're not going some crazy alternate line here. Versus New England.
I am not pleasing Houston up twice as much.
I wonder what the odds are. It's got to be like plus
that would be
10,000 or something.
I was just gonna say over 100 to 1.
Yeah. But I love Houston here, and this is one of your official picks. So talk to me about your thoughts.
Yeah, this is just one of those games where, as much as I think New England is by far the better team, and they're just a better all around team, I just don't see them as being this kind of offense and or organization nowadays that is going to be able to blow anybody out, because with the rookie quarterback, they're going to go more towards the run, which Houston, I mean, they've been gashed everywhere this season on defense. And then, on the offensive side of the ball, Houston likes to run the ball a lot, which New England's best asset is their pass defense.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of plays into what Houston wants to do. I think this clock is just rolling along, and this is probably the fastest in terms of game time, this weekend. So I think Houston has every opportunity to get the backdoor cover in this spot and or keep it within the 9 or 10 the entire day.
Yeah, I don't expect the Pats to do a ton on offense. I think they keep it close. I think they kind of just run the ball and let Mac have a few plays. The total in this one is also 39.5, which I think is kind of crazy that we have two totals inside the 40 in the NFL. I know a lot of these offenses haven't been amazing, but I think there's enough to like there. I kind of like I think that we can get 40 points. I think Brandon Cooks catches one deep. I think there's enough. And I know Davis Mills hasn't been great, and I know Belichick traditionally against rookie quarterbacks, it can be a nightmare. But Davis Mills can also throw pick sixes. What's your read on the Stephon Gilmore situation? Like, do you think this is a kind of a Pats team that after that loss, after kind of falling apart to the Brady team that looked like they could, get a win, might be trending the wrong way, and we see a lot more young players? Maybe they make a few more trades and or cuts, and they kind of go with another youth movement.
I mean, I don't really see them as going full rebuild here because it's Bill Belichick. I mean, he's on his last legs, so I don't see them going that style. I mean, they added Jamie Collins back off free agency, so that's a big addition to the linebacking core. I think they're gonna be a tough team each and every week, but I do think, looking at this line in particular for this week, I think it's definitely a reflection of how they performed on Sunday Night Football, which I think is kind of like fool's gold in a way.
Anytime the line is like aggressively inflated or deflated based on one game, I'm always going to pound the other side and just make it work.
Yeah, because there was nothing prior to that game that told us that New England was going to be double-digit favorite over anybody in the NFL.
Yeah. As much as as Houston is a train wreck, I think there's enough to like. This should be like 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
I love perhaps my favorite bet is the Cincinnati Bengals +3 against the Green Bay Packers. There is nothing about this game that says the Packers, like based on what the Packers have done, that this should be a field goal game, and yet here we are, and the line hasn't really moved throughout the week. The Packers are dealing with a ton of injuries, especially in the secondary. Kevin King is doubtful.
Kevin King is let's not pretend like Kevin King is anybody that we're excited to throw
Jair
out.
Alexander's out.
Yes, that's the big injury.
What's the front seven guy that's out?
Well, I mean, Zadarius Smith has been out all season.
Yeah.
So I mean, they really don't have anything in terms of pass rush.
Yeah, no pass rush, bad back end. Great news for the Bengals, who are going to throw probably without Joe Mixon in this game.
T. Higgins has been practicing on a limited basis, so he may return.
Full go with the receivers. They're going to throw. They're going to throw. They're going to throw some more. It may be a late backdoor cover. It may be, Joe Burrow finding T. Higgins in the back of the end zone, and all of a sudden they're inside this number. And the numbers, the injuries, and kind of where both of these teams sit, and like Cincinnati is already like kind of ahead of where we expected them to be at this point, at this juncture. And if they can keep it close and maybe even steal a win here, we might be talking about the Bengals as a legit playoff team this season.
Yeah, I won't go that far this early in the year, because I'm hoping I can get this under 3 with the Packers. I think that with the injuries, a lot of people are going to be kind of fading them this weekend. But I do think that with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb back now, just one more familiar piece for Rodgers to be able to throw the ball to. I think they're going to be able to attack the Bengals defense where they are at their weakest. This could be one of those games for the Packers where they do kind of milk the clock. It's not that up and down style of field, because they do know that Cincinnati is going to be very explosive against their beat up secondary. Yeah. So as of right now, I'm leaning Packers money line is something I have on a ticket somewhere, but I won't lay a full field goal on the road against this Bengals team who we've already talked about numerous times this year. Against Pittsburgh, we picked them. Against Minnesota in week 1, we liked them. And then they went out and then kind of put up a stinker against Jacksonville. So
yeah, and I was on Jacksonville. It was too many points, and we got the win there. I will say this is the second biggest differential. This is only getting 27% of the bets on the Bengals, yet 63% of the money. That could be the sharp people trying to get that 2.5 and then coming over the top with their big bet on Green Bay. But it is very, very interesting.
But like we said, like this is just another indication of one of those lines that made this week so difficult.
So there's we'll talk some. We'll obviously hit your teaser here in a second, and then hit some player props. But any other totals or spreads that jumped out to you, or you found potentially find some value, even though they didn't make your card?
Well, I told you prior to us beginning recording here, I'm very much so getting happy thoughts about the Tennessee Titans laying the 4.5 on the road in Jacksonville this weekend. I think with them getting AJ Brown back, he's full participant 2 days in a row. I just think that their ability to run the ball is just something that teams can't prepare for and puts the opponent behind immediately. Yeah. And I just think that they're going to be so efficient on offense, getting that alpha back on the outside. Jacksonville has nobody to defend the pass with. I like the Titans.
Brown and Julio can play, I'll feel much better about it. But like the way the offensive line is unable to block literally anybody.
Yeah, but Jacksonville doesn't have anybody.
Yeah, but Neither did the Jets, and the Jets had these randos that weren't even in the league.
Yeah, but
ending up in the backfield and having a sack dance.
I mean, let's just put it in terms of Robert Saleh, in terms of being an NFL head coach, as opposed to Urban Meyer, is like the difference is astronomical.
Yeah.
So, and Saleh is defensive minded. So for me, it's no surprise that the Jets are outperforming their like their talent level on the team.
Yeah, but like they didn't look good the first 3 weeks, and all of a sudden,
yeah, but it takes some time. Like, and remember, this is also a Jacksonville team that's still dealing with this weird crap with Urban Meyer coming in this week.
I'm also a pessimistic Titans fan who is really worried about the way this season is going after having all the optimism coming in. A couple lines that jumped out to me. The Vikings are getting a full 10 at home, or 10-point favorites at home against Detroit. I think
we talked about this on Tuesday.
I think you have to lay it with Minnesota if you take this at all. Detroit is sneaky and fun, and we've had fun with them, but like the wheels could really come off here, and it could get really ugly. And as much as I like what Jared Goff can be at times, don't necessarily love it. And then the line that moved an opposite from what I expected. The Panthers are only 3-point favorites at this point. Open 3.5, 4. Depending.
I'm loving this movement, by the way.
Yeah. If we can get it inside a field goal, I might have to pound Carolina.
Yeah, this was a game that initially, when I saw the line come out, when it was at 4, I think it opened at 4.5. I wasn't necessarily too excited, but as it's getting closer to that field goal mark, Carolina's defense is for real. I mean, yeah, the Cowboys jumped all over them in the second half, but that was mainly short fields and
a lot of Sam Darnold turnovers came in the second half because he was trying to force too much.
And I mean, as much as we think of Jalen Hurts, as good as he may be in the NFL, this offense is nowhere near what Dallas possesses.
And Dallas trounced both these teams, telling me that it's pretty even. And just take the team that you like better.
Yeah, on the Vikings line, I jumped on this at 7.5 early in the week. It's continued to crawl up, and I just think, like, when you look at Detroit, they have nobody on the offensive line right now. In Minnesota, they're rushing the passer as good as anybody in the NFL right now. So this could be the game where Jared Goff has multiple fumbles, and it's ugly quick.
Yeah. Raiders are getting pounded up to 5.5 now. I don't know if I want any part of that game. I think I would want the Bears if I had to pick a side, but I don't really love it. And then your Cowboys up over a touchdown, getting lots of love on both bets and money. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, the Cowboys line scares me because as many turnovers as the Cowboys are producing, they're still giving up a ton of yardage.
Yeah.
And the Giants are getting, like, they're adding pieces to their offense. So,
and we talked about this one a little bit. I thought I was going to be all over the Chargers, but after our conversations on Tuesday, I think I like the Browns a lot here. I think as bad as Baker's been, I think this is a spot where they run the ball really well against a bad Chargers rush defense. They play great defense. Nick Chubb has a monster game. And the Browns, get the outright win. I want to look at the money line because I think that might be a spot where I actually get down some real dollars.
Yeah, this was probably the most difficult game of the week for me to, like, try to prognosticate and look at and wager, because I love both of these teams coming into the season. To me, this is just one of those spots where you got to go with the dog here. I just think that what Cleveland does on offense is going to expose the Chargers' weakness on defense, regardless of how crappy Baker Mayfield plays. I just think that their running ability is something that the Chargers have not faced yet, and they're going to get steamrolled.
Yep. Brian, it's time for your Week 5 teaser. Well, let us have it.
Well, hopefully I don't have that one BS game in here, but here we go. All right, so we got the Dolphins at the Bucks, currently sitting at around 48 for the total. I think that Tampa Bay, they lost another corner. I think that Miami will be able to expose their pass defense, and Tom Brady's going to want to come out and look a ton better than he did last week. I got this at 42, so I like the over 42 in this one. I'm teasing the Bears up to over 11.5 point dogs. on the road in Las Vegas. Another team without corners right now, the Raiders. I think that Chicago is able to expose them with deep passes here. And then we see Justin Fields' legs play a major part in this game. Getting this many points is too much for me. And I tease my Cowboys down to a 1-point favorite. I do think that Dallas is the better team, but I don't think they're going to be able to cover a big number. I like them in one of the stereotypical Giants Cowboys field goal games. So I get that
I do like the Giants. I know all the money's coming in on Dallas, but
yeah, it's too
Giants,
much.
I just worry that Daniel Jones throws a costly turnover. Trayvon Diggs is going the other way, and all of a sudden, Cowboys win by 9 or 10 instead of that game clinch or that game clinching field goal.
But yeah, guaranteed the Cowboys are the one that ruins my teaser. And then my last one is I'm teasing the Browns up to over a touchdown at 7.5. I mean, that's just too easy. I think right now it'd be up to 8. So yeah, that's just
8.5, depending on where you look. I think that makes a lot of sense as a teaser leg. Let's talk some props, and let's start with those Browns. I'm taking Nick Chubb over 85.5 rushing yards. I think he gets close to 100 here, if not going over. This is a team that is atrocious against the run.
Yes.
Having lots of issues, and I think the Browns get back to what they do best: run the ball, play good defense, and get out of there with a win. And Brian, it looks like we were simpatico as you're taking Nick Chubb with the longest rush over 17.5 yards.
Yeah, I don't really understand this total each week. I mean, he busts one of these weekly.
It feels like whenever Nick Chubb has a game, there's like a 40-yarder in there. That's just makes such a big difference.
And he's so explosive. Chargers now without Kenneth Murray. This one was a smash for me.
Yep, I love where your head's at. While I didn't make a pick, while neither of us made a pick in the Kansas City versus the Buffalo game, I will take Josh Allen over 32.5 rushing yards. You're gonna have to lay a little bit over at DK, but this is a defense that gave up 107 to Lamar, gave up 47 to Jalen Hurts. I think Josh Allen runs a lot. I like the under in this game. I think it's a closer, low-scoring game. I think both quarterbacks can scramble a little bit. I think Josh Allen runs for 40, 45 yards, maybe a touchdown. So I think that is a move that makes a ton of sense. What other player props are grabbing your attention?
Well, I teased them up to double-digit dogs, and that's the Bears. I'm going with Justin Fields pass yards prop over 214.5. I got it at. It's probably going to continue to climb. I just think that what we saw last week, he led the NFL in average yards per attempt. I mean, you're seeing this Bears offense go aerial attack with Darnell Mooney exploding onto the scene. I think this is a spot where they can expose this Raiders pass defense. So I do like Fields to be able to cash in of over 214.
I'm gonna go to the desert. I know Elijah Mitchell could be back this week, and that could look really, really dumb. But I like Trey Sermon. His over under is 26.5. This is a guy who looked really good a week ago, getting a bit of run. I think he runs still plenty. And I like Trey Lance. I think there will be a prop once he is officially the starter. It looks like Jimmy G is going to miss this week. I'm curious to see what it's going to be. If you follow me at Notorious KRO on Twitter, I will try and tweet out some thoughts from there. Brian, I also think we could be in an interesting spot as both Ezekiel Elliott and potentially Dalvin Cook could miss some time this week. And we've seen with Tony Pollard, especially a consistent workload. You could get it over 40.5 right now with Tony Pollard. I don't know.
So that's like one of the easiest bets. He's gotten over that mark in the last 3 games alone.
Right.
I mean, he's seen double-digit carries in every game.
It's a number he could get to even in a part-time role, but there's a world where he's a starter and or Zeke gets banged up a little bit early in this game and he sees even more carries and gets over. I also like Damien Harris to run for a lot against that Texans defense. His total is just at 69.5. I think he could easily get 80 plus yards and have a really good day. I'm playing a lot of him over at DraftKings, so I think there's potential there. And I kind of like going under with like Mike Davis in the Jets Falcons game.
Mike
I
Davis.
want to like bet like Wayne Gallman or something, but I don't know. It seems that I'm not sure I'm going to get a prop on that.
Yeah, I have almost like no trust in any of the guys filling in on the outside or Wayne Gallman in this spot.
Yeah. Speaking of filling in, do you think we could find some value on Damien Williams over 60.5 versus the Raiders, kind of like that? Or Samaje Perine potentially, who
I'm
nothing
not
out
big
yet.
on I'm not big on P Ryan. So it's looking like Mixon is going to miss. He missed the last 2 days of practice. He's
Yeah.
DNPs. He's not playing. But I mean, go blue, baby. I really think we see a lot more Chris Evans than people are thinking because he is the pass catcher in this spot. And I do think that the Packers are going to score, getting Cincinnati into a little more passing style, which would lead me to think that Evans will see maybe a full timeshare in this spot.
It could be. I kind of like going back to Aaron Jones in this spot. His over under is set at only 59.5. I know we saw a lot more AJ Dillon last week, but I think that might have been just kind of the way the game played out.
Yeah.
I think you could go back to Aaron Jones, who could get 75, 80 yards. I mean, 60 yards, I think, is totally doable.
Well, he's another guy. He could bust out a 40-yarder, in the first quarter.
Totally. Dang, Miles, there's some interesting numbers. Miles Sanders, 47.5. Just will he get enough volume to get there?
Really starting to worry about Miles Sanders, by the way.
Seriously. Yeah, I think that might be it. We can look at some touchdown scores, but I'm not sure. That's just
Well, I mean, we talked about Tyreek Hill. We knew the boom game was coming, and it was a major boom last weekend.
Yeah, I think that was one I wish I'd bet more on. More maybe like a 2 touchdown prop. I could have gotten a nice number on that.
I think it's really interesting too when you're looking at like, okay, the Saints props right now. So like Alvin Kamara, he's been seeing a ton of volume rushing the ball, but not a single effing target last week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jameis Winston, 200 yards. If he plays and they actually throw, he'll smash that. If they do a lot of Taysom Hill, maybe he goes way under. So that is really interesting.
Sick of Taysom Hill.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling based on the way the Saints are going that will be Baker 222.5. I know we're both on Nick Chubb for a lot, but man,
that is such a low number. But
Justin Fields 215. I think he can throw for 250 easy.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, I love Justin Fields. Over 214.5 is where I got the number at. It went 215. Yeah, give me that too. I just think that like Fields, for instance, this week more so than Trey Lance is in a better opportunity to be successful on the field because of their matchup. Like Trey Lance is going to be going up
rushing yards. That could be fun too.
Yeah. Like everyone's all excited about Trey Lance starting for San Francisco, but don't forget, he's going to be going up against one of the most diverse blitzing defenses in
Arizona's
the NFL.
Defense good?
I don't know if they're good, but they're going to blitz the hell out of him and they're going to confuse him.
So that's why I like his rushing total.
I like his rushing, not his passing.
He could run for a lot. But if Debo catches 1 or 2 and takes him to the house, then, if he's standing wide open, go 70 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, that is very true.
All right, Brian, we talked some props. We talked some sides. We talked some totals. It's time for our week 5 best bet. What you got?
Man, like we said, this week was disgusting. But you know what? We're going overseas, baby. I'm going with the over 46 with the Jets,
so
and the Falcons in London, baby.
Not only do you want to be wrong, but you want to be dead wrong. At least your best bet will be dead by 10 o'clock our time. So that'll be good.
That's the thing is it'll be out of the way super early. So let's just do that right there.
Yeah, I really like the Bengals side, but I'm going to take the Josh Allen rushing prop over 32.5. I think that's a great number. I think he runs for that pretty comfortably and gives us something where I'm not going to want to bet the Chiefs or the Bills. Maybe look at that total under. But I think the rushing yard prop is the way to attack that game for sure.
Very nice.
All right, Brian, we'll be back on Tuesday with our recap, let you know how the week went, let you know about the key injuries, and get you set for week 6 already, Brian.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
crazy. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. We're marching ever closer to 300. Appreciate everybody hopping on. Hit the thumbs up. Let us know down in the comments what your week 5 best bet is. And Brian and I will talk to y'all